Arrowhead Studios and Sony had a really great thing going with Helldivers 2. They were being praised for the amazing game that they had created, and ultimately a lot of people were saying that this could have been their game of the year. But unfortunately, over the past couple of days, there has been so much backlash because of the PSN requirement that Sony is now seemingly doubling down on. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, Sony has been surrounded in controversy, especially with Stellar Blade's news recently, the fact that it seems that Sony forced Shift Up to censor the game, but now we have Sony doubling down on the Helldivers 2 PSN requirements by taking it off sale for PC in numerous countries. I wanted to start with this Push Square article. It says Sony has in the last few hours effectively doubled down on its decision to require PC players to log into a PSN account to keep playing Helldivers 2 from the 4th of June by delisting the game entirely in countries where the service isn't officially available. Now, obviously, the crux of the problem with this isn't just the fact that they are requiring you to sign in with a PSN account, because many people have PlayStation Network accounts. The problem is the fact that they did not tell people. They were not transparent from the get-go. They didn't mention this before release. They didn't even mention it over the past few months since release, and they really thought that this was just going to be a minor inconvenience for a handful of people, but it has led to player revolt, and rightfully so. When you are not telling players the honest truth about requirements that, oh, hey, by the way, you're gonna have to link other accounts in order to keep playing the game that you've already purchased and been playing for months, you are going to face a lot of problems. But to top it off, this is another big issue. The fact that there are so many countries where the service isn't officially available, and instead of, holding back on this requirement and saying, hey, until we figure something out, we're not going to be, pushing this, PSN linking requirement, they have effectively doubled down now. It says there are reports of PC users getting full refunds for the game despite having played significantly longer than the 2-hour grace period Steam offers, but I can tell you that this does not seem to be true. It is being reported this way, and we have seen a few screenshots online from people saying they got refunds, but they did not clarify how much time was on their account with this game, and people like Mark Kern have been trying to get refunds, and Steam is rejecting them. So if you are somebody who has, played Helldivers 2 and you want a refund, I would definitely recommend putting in the request, but I would not hold my breath that you are going to just magically get all of that money back. It says, though, Sony requires all PC users to log into a PSN account from the 4th of June to continue playing, and this is a major, major problem. It seems that, in some of the countries where unfortunately, PSN is not available, even if you already had purchased the game, you can no longer play your copy of the game. Now, of course, keep in mind there is a rollout process, so this PSN requirement does not go into effect at the same time everywhere, but it is inevitable unless Sony stops, and it doesn't look like that is going to happen. I get that they're the publisher of the game, but they were not transparent about this process since, before release, and then, of course, a few months ago when it launched, and they should have really told people multiple times over and over that this was going to happen, but that was not the case. So now, Sony has delisted Helldivers 2 from being purchased on Steam in 177 countries, and they actually cut off 1/3 of the world from playing Helldivers 2 and expected gamers to really not care, which just has not happened. As you can see, going on over to the Steam page, this game was previously sitting at amazing amazing reviews. So many people have been praising this game, and well, as you can see, it's not going well for them. The all reviews is sitting at a mix now with over 451,000, and the recent reviews are sitting at mostly negative at 172,893. I think that it is fantastic that so many people are willing to come out and voice how unhappy they are with Sony, with, of course, Arrowhead, and just this situation in general, because too often we see negative situations happen and people go, oh, well, I want to give them a chance. No, people are sick and tired of giving companies like Sony chance after chance, especially when they don't care about what we really have to say. As you can see, it is a sea of dislikes and not recommendeds. You can purchase this game from all over the globe. You can only play it if you're in one of Sony's 69 approved countries. The 3 months of players who ain't from the list now have a brick of a game. How does that seem fair? This is such a massive problem. The fact that you could have purchased it months ago if you're in one of these other countries, but as the rollout continues, you're no longer going to be able to play it. That is complete and utter bullshit. Greatly disappointed with the additional forced change of requiring a PSN account in order to play the game. Not only does this force users who are in the many countries to either break the toss and risk their entire account, but it also locks those out of playing the game entirely. Here is a list of all of the countries that cannot make PSN accounts. I was so busy having fun, I forgot about corporate greed for a moment. This has definitely been Sony in a nutshell over the past couple of months. I mean, I've talked about Sony on this channel for years at this point, censoring games and being generally anti-consumer, and then they go ahead and do things like this and just show their corporate greed all over again, and it's so pathetic that they thought that, you know, they would be able to do this, that they would be able to get away with this without telling players and without voicing clearly what was going to happen for the people who didn't want to link PSN accounts, or the fact that they would have to anyway. And of course, it's not like this was just sprung upon Arrowhead Studios and Sony decided this last minute, because as you can see, this is a tweet by Grums, the fire is out of control because the CEO had admitted they knew the requirement 6 months ago. I do have a part to play. I am not blameless in all of this. It was my decision to disable account linking at launch so that players could play the game. I did not ensure players were aware of the requirement, and we didn't talk about it enough. You didn't talk about it at all. We knew for about 6 months before launch that it would be mandatory for online PlayStation titles. Yeah, and the whole guise is that, oh, this is to protect players, that it adds an extra layer of security. Sony is constantly having security breaches. Having to link a PlayStation Network account doesn't mean that you're safer. It just means that it's easier for companies like Sony to track you and how you're playing games, and they don't actually care about keeping you as a player safe, and this company doesn't respect you at all whatsoever, and it's so sad to see, because I know so many people have been loving Helldivers 2, and this was going to be a lot of people's game of the year. I just already know it, and now I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen. I think a lot of people are revolting. The player numbers are starting to slowly drop over on Steam, and it seems like a lot of people are giving up on Arrowhead, no longer trusting Sony, and for now at least they are going to be shelving their copy of the game until Sony either backtracks and apologizes, but it doesn't seem that that's going to happen because they've effectively doubled down on the PSN requirements. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.